Kelsey Ziser with Light Reading for OrbTV, and we're here at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, and I'm joined by my colleague Iain Morris. Good to see you, Iain.
Hi Kelsey, how are you doing?
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the show this year? How does it compare to past years?
Well,
What's the vibe been like?
It's big as always. It's probably a little bigger. I think they were saying they were expecting more than 108,000 attendees, and we had about 108,000 last year. Yeah. So it continues to grow and suck in people from different industries.
Yeah. Got stuck behind a few people pausing to look at their phones in the hallway. And
yeah, it's as crowded as ever. I think there's even more sprawl. There's events taking part in different parts of town. I mean, on the news side, I feel slightly underwhelmed, I have to say. I think the fact that it has got so big maybe works against it to some extent. You now get companies coming out with news announcements before the show actually begins, including in the weeks running up to Mobile World Congress. And from a sort of journalistic perspective, I think it dilutes the impact of it a little bit. There's kind of perhaps less that's been said that's really attention grabbing perhaps at this event, I think, maybe than last year. And maybe one of the problems is that a lot of the stuff has already happened in the last few weeks. I mean, we had the big announcement on 5G standardization in December. Operators are now starting to make preparations for 5G, but no one's come along and said anything really kind of exciting following that. I mean, even Ericsson's press conference I felt this year was a little on the underwhelming side. There was not really anything said apart from 5G is good, and we encourage you to go out and spend some money on it before anybody else, and if you do that you'll have a market share advantage. I don't know, what have you've been sort of talking to people as well, I guess, and I think you went to a Facebook conference the other day on TIP.
Yeah.
Was there anything that came out of that grabbed you?
Yeah, Facebook had their press conference yesterday afternoon and talked about where they are with the Telecom Infra Project, the TIP initiative, and they invited a few operators on stage. So there was Telenor and Telefonica were there, and talked a lot about efforts around injecting connectivity into rural communities and some of the challenges there, and like how far they've come as far as connectivity in Peru, for example. They've worked, I believe, with Telefonica to get about 20,000 people connected, and talked to Patrick Lopez earlier today about some of those challenges just in the terrain in developing that infrastructure, because there's jungles and rivers and deserts, and it's certainly a lot more challenging than, say, in an urban environment, which is where sort of more the wheelhouse for service providers.
And I think TIP's interesting as well, because maybe that does kind of point to one of the themes of the show a little bit, which is some of the disruption that's happening with initiatives like TIP, but also one that was announced actually on the show today, called ORAN, Open RAN, which is a new kind of operator-led initiative to try and get those 5G costs down by using white box technology and virtualization more in the access network area. But a lot of kind of talk about open source still, and that's obviously going to force some of the traditional vendors to change in ways that they might not like, and face some uncomfortable challenges perhaps. And I guess that, for me, that's perhaps one of the main themes that's come out of this year's show.
Well, thanks, Iain. It's been good speaking with you.
Thanks, Kelsey.